Yep. Hi everybody, I'm Drone.
And I'm Dave.
And we are the co-creators of the V2A Wasteland Chronicles DOOMSDAY graphic novel. The first in a series of post-apocalyptic comics coming to you.
Glad you said that.
Very good, Dave. My day job, I'm the lead singer of the post-apocalyptic band V2A. So you may have seen us in some of the post-apocalyptic festivals or some of the festivals around Europe and the US.
I'm the co-founder of an independent comic company called Accent UK.
Best people in the comic industry to work on this comic. Friends and also people we really admire and absolutely love their work. So first of all, we've got the legendary PJ Holden from 2000 AD, Vlad, and Vlad is actually the V2A artist.
We've got Matt Soffe doing the colouring, 2000 AD, and I think Heavy Metal.
Ryan Brown, who is the cover artist for Marvel, DC, 2000 AD. Ryan's art is just absolutely breathtaking.
Gustavo Vargas, who's a Peruvian artist.
Hi guys, we really do need your support to help make this comic a reality. So please check out the epic rewards over on the right hand side, which include everything from limited edition, signed, very, very exclusive and uber collectible. There's even a reward where you can actually get your post-apocalyptic character in the book and in the comic books.
I don't think we're live.
And good evening, we are live. Welcome to V2A Freak Show. And this is a special freak show to celebrate the first day release of our brand new graphic novel, V2A The Wasteland Chronicles DOOMSDAY. Hey, so welcome to all our guests. First of all, we have Dave from Accent UK.
Hello, I am.
Hello, and then we have the legendary PJ Holden.
Where?
Down in the bottom we have Skelly. How are you, sir?
Merry Christmas, Mr. Bublé.
Excellent. And then we have Mechanized.
Hi everyone, we are back.
And then we have Matt. We have Matt, the amazing artist and colorist from the graphic novel. How are you, Matt?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes.
Excellent. Well, first of all, welcome everybody to the show. First of all, a quick question. Dave, when did you first get into comics?
Into comics, what, as a reader, when I was about 8, I think I got my first Fantastic Four comic from a local, just a comic shop, really.
So was that Fantastic Four was the first one you had?
Yeah. I thought it started off with something called Dandy, which is like a Beano type thing. I don't know if it's still going. Just the, Corky the Cat, some sort of cartoon, one-page gags and things.
Yeah.
And then I found a local newsagent. I just saw this Fantastic Four comic. I thought, what's that? So I bought it. It's only like a shilling, I think, in those days. And I was hooked ever since. That was it.
Oh
All
my,
my pocket money forever after.
awesome. So over to the legendary PJ Holden. PJ, when did when did you first? What was your first comic? And when did
Um,
you start to realise that you wanted to grow up and become a comic book artist?
I don't know if I wanted to grow up, but I think my first comic, I can't really remember. I was definitely very young, and I know at some point when I was about in primary school, I wasn't a particularly great reader. In fact, they stuck me into a remedial reading class, and then in a caravan in the wet and rain of a miserable Northern Irish summer. I was bored out of my mind. There was no TV. There was no electric, actually, and there was no indoor plumbing. It was terrible. And but I found some comics, and I escaped. And I think I kind of read anything. So my early comic reading memory is a hazy mix of all the kind of British standards, but including things like Lion and stuff, which predated me by some years. But my dad used to take me down to secondhand bookshops, and he would pick up sort of older comics and things. One of my earliest distinct memories is hiding under. We had an attic which had a roll of carpet, and I can't remember how old I was, but I was definitely about 6. And he had got a Century 21 annual that he bought me, and I wanted to cut the figures out of it. I wanted to cut the characters out and reassemble them into my own comic strips. Basically, cut them out, put them in, play with them. And my mum wouldn't let me have the scissors, and I remember being inside this roll of carpet. It's a really distinct memory, being inside this roll of carpet and desperately crying that I wanted scissors to cut up this comic book, but I wanted it to make more comics. It wasn't like I wanted to cut it up to be destructive. I wanted to make things. So for me as well, there's a very strong intrinsic link between wanting to read comics and wanting to make comics. I couldn't, they were hand in hand for a long time as far as I was concerned. It was I'd read and then I'd make, I'd read and then I'd draw, and once I got hold of some carbon paper, there was no stopping me. Could have every comic I ever made then for at least a month in the summer. So yeah, I mean, I kind of that's when I first fell in love with them, and then I kind of read them for a while. I will talk forever if you let me. I read them for a while, up until I was about 13 or something. I was bringing distinctly. So I grew up Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland, as I'm sure you're aware of, has had a thing we call the Troubles. We're in a section of Northern Ireland and another section of Northern Ireland didn't get on so well. Well, I'm from the section of Northern Ireland, very strictly speaking, that would be Catholic. Now, I'm not, none of that applies to me really, but that's the section I grew up in. And but I loved war comics. I loved war comics, and there were soldiers all over the place. So I'd see a soldier go, "Oh, cool, a soldier!" And that's not what you did in a Catholic area in Northern Ireland. So I grew up wanting to join the army because of comics, and thinking I want to go off and fight the Nazis. There are no Nazis there. I mean, they're back now, but there were none then. And what do you call it? So when I went to my secondary school, and this is what stopped me reading comics. Actually, I was carrying a copy of Captain Britain, which was the Jamie Delano, Alan Davis run from about 84, I think. And a big cover of Captain Britain on the cover, a big Union Jack flag, which you don't bring into an all-boys Catholic school in Northern Ireland in the 80s. You don't do that. So I got a little bit of a, let's just, it was a verbal pummeling, nothing, there was no actual fighting, there was nothing like that. And I should have just laughed it off, but it kind of put me off comedy. From then on, they were a furtive activity. I would sort of read things in computer magazine. There was a magazine called Computer and Video Games that ran a comic called Bug Hunters by a guy called Jerry Paris, who I'm actually good friends with now. But and that was the only comics I'd spend what amounted to in today's money like £9 for a magazine every week out of my pocket money, which was about £9.10p in today's money, just to get 4 pages of comic strip content, because I didn't have the balls to walk into a shop and go, I'll have that comic, please, because I don't care what people think. Because I did care what people think. So I did that for years until about the 80s when John McRae and a friend of his, Fred Collier, opened up a comic shop in Northern Ireland. And I was about 18 and I saw that. And I thought, oh, there's a comic shop. No one will make fun of you for reading comics in a comic shop, which was how naive I was, because that's exactly what they do in a comic shop, is they take the piss mercilessly out of you. And so I started up again, and that's what started me drawing again, just from reading it. I wanted to draw it. So there you go. Is that enough? Is that me done? Can I clock on?
Can I make my answer bigger? Sorry, can I just do one again?
A quick one then over to Matt. Matt, so what was your first comic, and then what sort of got you into the idea of drawing and colouring for a living?
Well, I can't actually remember what the very first comic was. It was either 2000 AD, Scream, Warrior, or Battle Action. I used to get all of those, basically. I can't remember what was first, but I remember making sure.
I'm going to stop you there, Matt. I think Warrior is the comic that people claim as their first comic when they want to be cool. Like claiming they saw what do you call it? They saw a punk band in the early 70s when their first album was probably by some kids making kid pop music.
Busted. Okay, it was around like probably 2000 AD.
It was Bunty or something. So, I'm hand on heart. Bunty was probably my first comic. It's a girl's comic. It was great.
Yeah. So when did you realise then, Matt, that you wanted to do colouring and drawing then?
Well, okay, I did university and everything, but I didn't do particularly well. I dropped out, in fact, in my last year. And I played music for about 10 years, played in various bands. And I put all my heart into that for a while. But then people went their separate ways, and I just ended up sort of finding myself approaching 30 and thinking, what do I want to do with my life? And I went back to art. I just buying 2000 AD again. They just brought out all those collections, like Strontium Dog and Case Files. So I think I just wandered into Waterstones and found the volume 1 of Strontium Dog, and it brought back so many memories. It was so overwhelmingly powerful. And that was it. I just thought, right, I've got to do this. And plugged away for about, I think it was 9 years before I finally got a gig on the Judge Dredd magazine.
Oh, right.
Which was a couple now. So that's me basically.
So Skelly, you are on mute. I can't unmute your mic. So we're you did. Okay. So Skelly, just
I have that power.
you have the power. So just a quick one. So normally in the comic you have a Mohican. At the moment it's down flat and you have a beard. So a quick question to you: what was your first comic?
Well, it was probably The Dandy growing up, just being a kid and, funny cartoons. But I actually have a very early memory of doing a train trip down to see the grandparents down in Ipswich and going into W.H. Smith, being allowed to buy a comic. And I remember buying Savage Sword of Conan. My word, that was brutal. That was brutal. So that was probably my first proper comic.
I can smell that comic as you say it. I can smell the newsprint. It's so strong and evocation.
Mechanized, over to you. What was your first comic?
I don't say. You will hate me.
Go on.
Mickey Mouse or something like that. Have a go, man.
I think
nothing wrong with Mickey Mouse. He was great.
He was. I must admit, from about the age of 5, I used to collect Marvel comics. So I've got like a massive collection of Marvel comics until I was about 7, and then I accidentally found 2000 AD, and it just blew my mind. I was like, oh my god. It was not like a Marvel comic, put it that way. It was edgy, and oh my god, it was just full on. It just totally blew my mind. It was absolutely amazing. So back over to Dave first. So Dave, how did you get involved in this comic, the V2A comic? Do you want to just give a quick explain to the audience what it is?
Yeah, that was all your fault, really, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
So we were doing we go to an asylum. It's a steampunk event called the Asylum, and we do an anthology. So we kind of choose those characters at those events dress up as their own characters. So they invent themselves a character, professor, whatever, from so and so. And it's like all the Comic Cons we go to, you get people dressed as Spider-Man and Superman, etc. These guys dress as their own characters, have their own personas. So I was chatting to these people, and they're explaining who they were, and it's all quite interesting. We thought, why don't we do a comic about those characters? So we kind of we met a few of them, picked a few of them, and just did a comic book story about those. I think you found out about it, drone off the web or something,
Yeah.
and then you said, we must be in that. And I said, we can't be in this one because we're just finishing it. It takes a while to kind of get things going.
Yeah.
But you can be in the next one. So it all went quiet then for about 8 months, and then the next one came up, and I messaged you, and I said, Drone, do you want to be in this then? Because we're starting now to do the stories and work it all out. And you said yes, and then you kind of went a bit distant again, because I think you go off and get your geeks and things, you disappear, you go off
I do stuff, yeah.
So I kind of came up with sort of a story idea, and then I lined up an artist, Gustavo, and then kind of played the story by, and you liked it, but it was very much a 10-page thing, which could lead to other things or not. And then you said, no, we've got to make a proper comic. And then you went quiet again for about another year, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and COVID hit meant you can't go touring and stuff, so therefore we could do the comic. So, and it came from there.
Yeah, normally we have like about 17 festivals a year, so we're either normally in Germany or in LA or all over the place. We don't really actually have time to sort of sit down and sort of work on new albums and graphic novels, etc. So when we decided to do this as a proper graphic novel series, we thought we've got to get a top artist. We really want the A team on this, and that's why the top name on the list was PJ. Seriously, totally blown away by your 2000 AD stuff, PJ. You are a legend. Your art is just you've got your own unique style, and it's just breathtaking. So, what was your feelings when you sort of got involved with this and been drawing it? What's
Well, first of all, I want to say I want to draw back on the legend status. There's a weird thing about time, which is I started my 2000 AD career when I turned 30, and it was the year 2000, and I was like, I kind of in a crisis of I'd been working in IT, and I really wanted to draw comics, and I kind of pushed and ended up getting work for 2000 AD, and so the thing is that that's 20 years. And it has gone by in such a blink that I can remember when I was the new guy, and then I became the kind of veteran. And I don't know what happened between those two things.
Awesomeness, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't feel any different internally, but somehow I've gone from like the green new person to legend, and it's like, well, I don't know about that. That seems a bit. It doesn't match up with what's in my head. But anyway, to cut a long story short, I never turned down work. That's the first thing. I mean, there's two reasons. I never turned down work, primarily because I can be pretty fast, so I can I can do a lot of work, and I aim to do about 250 pages a year. Is what my target is. Any less than that, and I can't afford to live. That's the simple reality. So you've got to do about 250. And generally, you find if you say yes to things, about 50% of those projects disappear anyway. There's a 50-50 chance that they're gonna vanish. So you don't necessarily lose anything. It's only whenever you say yes and then they come back and say, here's the contract, here's the script, here's the money, and you go, oh shit, I better I better do this now. And then you've got to figure out how you're going to insert it and stuff. So I think I was unaware of you guys. I'll be honest, my musical taste.
Remove. Where's the remove button?
My musical taste from the Kate Bush. I'm not, I've been ashamed of my musical taste for a long time, but I love what I love. What can I tell you? But on the other hand, I've always loved that kind of I don't want to say Mad Max, but I've always loved that kind of post-apocalyptic kind of look. There's a Games Workshop game called Necromunda, which I used to love, which was a kind of similar post-apocalyptic kind of almost Mad Maxian inspired, but all under in this thing called the Underhive and stuff. And I liked that. And I thought when I was asked, I thought, oh, that could be quite fun. That could be fun to draw. And then I can't remember what our original time frame was, but I think whenever we talked about doing it,
It was September.
September, was it? Oh, right. Okay. Well, what happened was I was given the script and I turned your first half of it around very quickly.
You did.
Because,
You did.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my difficulty is always where will I fit this into the schedule, and then when I find the gap, then it's hell for leather. As I'm sure you've probably been surprised at the pace of the pages coming at you. In the
It's
past couple of days.
crazy. Unbelievable. I've just found out we have another guest waiting to jump on. He's going to be in the comic. He's part of Double Trouble. It's only the legendary Greg Van Borsumm.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How's it going, Greg? How was your martial arts class?
I literally was covered in sweat. I just finished. Just got changed.
Oh, I thought I smelled something. No, I'm joking.
No, that was Kevin.
So
Go downwind.
So thank you for joining us. So Greg is you were the gun coordinator in the fight scenes on Fury Road, a co-director in the almost legendary post-apocalyptic horror film of Happy Feet.
I was also the fight director. I was also the fight director of Fury Road.
Fight director, and loads of other stuff, and also you run your own martial art academy and a
Keynote speaker now these days.
A key speaker.
So people are trying to drag me back into the film world, so we'll see what happens.
Oh my gosh, excellent. So welcome on board, Greg. So how are you, by the way?
I'm good, man. I'm always good. I had Angry was out with me last night. Angry Anderson, the Iron Bar, number 3.
Right.
So we had dinner last night for a mate's 50th down in Sydney. So we just it wasn't too late. We're all old now.
we will have to get Iron Bar on. We'll have to get you in Iron Bar and Mark. Big hello to Mark Sexton as well. Who's
I haven't spoken to Tubby lately. I don't know where he's at.
Tubby.
PJ and Matt, do you know Mark Sexton? He's currently drawing the new Thor film, so he couldn't make it tonight, or he would have jumped on as well.
I know. I thought Mark was in a gay relationship because he told me he was doing Thor. I wasn't quite sure what he meant. How you going, PJ? You good?
I'm very well, thank you.
So, mate.
Just thinking about all your martial arts classes and all your directing things, and I'm thinking, I literally haven't moved off this chair in 5 days.
Yeah, but you're drawing stuff. You got that is you guys have always been fruit bats. You live in the dark and just draw it. But it's cool.
Yeah.
So over to Matt. So Matt, do you?
I didn't see that.
So Greg, Matt, Greg, Dave, Greg, Matt, PJ, everybody else. Matt, is that normally is that your sort of base where you do all your colouring and your drawing? Where you're currently sat?
So yeah, like I said, I only moved here about 4 months ago. I married an American lass, so managed to get over here despite the pandemic. I was only able to come back because we did get married early in the year. And so I'm in the process of applying for citizenship and all that stuff now. And this is the
I see you've
workspace.
really taken the accent on, Matt.
Yeah.
Hey?
The Californian slang is missing.
Yeah. I bet you.
I tend to do that.
I bet you got shorts on as well.
Sorry?
I bet you're wearing shorts.
Oh God, no! It's actually
I'm wearing
freezing.
underpants. Literally, I'm sitting in.
That's too much info there, Greg. Too much info.
You can all post about that.
California right now. Oh,
So Matt, what was your feelings when you started? When you got involved initially with the comic?
Oh, I was very excited because, especially when I found out it was PJ drawing it, because I love his art. I'm not going to gush, don't worry. But it's actually PJ I need to thank for getting me the gig with 2000 AD, because he was kind enough to send me some dread pages to practice colours on, which I then...
Genuinely, the best thing you can do in your own career is make sure other people are in debt to you. That's
I need to PJ. So yeah, so Thog was happy to look at them, and that's what got me the gig. So thank you very much, PJ. And I do love your art. It's like, it reminds me It reminds me of the kind of energy of Mike McMahon's, his old dread, Block War, that kind of thing, which was my favourite comic.
This stuff is
That and Sky
painful.
Charity.
This is painful for me to listen to. I will.
You're loving every minute.
I'll wrap it up.
Without interjecting, going, I think you're drunk, Matt.
So PJ, is that where you do all your drawing? Are you in your office at the moment?
I mean, literally, like the camera is. I showed you earlier on. I showed you the studio space that I'm in. The seat I'm in right now is literally where I was sat to draw.
PJ 1, Matt 0. Greg's keeping score. Greg is keeping score.
Yeah, no, I spent the stuff. Generally, what I'll do is I'll flip between doing analog and digital. So I will pencil and ink on paper and scan it into the computer. But this stuff that I've been doing is all digital, and because it digital, I find is kind of it's a more instant start. It's like you can start drawing digitally without kind of faffing around with traditional inking and drawing. You're kind of always going, oh, this ink isn't right, and this pen's not. And where did I put that other? It's on the floor, isn't it? It's always on the floor. I don't know why all my pens end up on the floor. And you can be hours and hours now, but I'm faster traditionally. But it takes that long to start. So this stuff's all digital. But I genuinely, literally haven't moved from this seat in like 5 or 6 days. So it gets uncomfortable.
Hey, PJ, are you working off a Wacom?
Yeah.
They're beautiful setups. It was the interactive tablet. They've been amazing. There's so much.
Yeah, no, this one's a 27-inch Wacom, so it's bloody huge. Yeah, off screen, I'll tell you how I got this because it's a good story.
Off screen. Yeah, totally. Well, first of all, a big shout out to everybody online. So if you're online, please say hi and tell us where you're from. We've got quite a lot of people posting all the comments. Yes. Over. What we're going to do now is just to warm everything up. Let me put Stig back on. Stig, can we run the Celebrity Thunderdome? Have you got that picture? So what this is we're going to have Greg versus PJ. The idea of Celebrity Thunderdome is you both have 30 seconds each to explain to to explain to the audience why your character would win in a Thunderdome match. And then the audience vote online, and then we tell at the end who's actually won. Okay.
I mean, I don't even think my character would walk out alive.
Well, you haven't got the characters yet. I'm going to assign you a character each.
Oh, right, okay.
If it's from the graphic novel, then I'd just have Mark because he'd be my little runt. He'd run out there. He would just service you, and you'd fall asleep. It'd be over.
Well, I don't know. Stig, have you got that? Have you got that picture? We've gone for we haven't gone for people in the comic. We've gone for what's quite hot at the moment. I don't know if Mark's got it. Can you share the screen?
Almost there.
He's almost there. So the idea is you're going to have 30 seconds each. PJ, that's only 30 seconds, PJ, because I know what you're like.
I've got stamina.
You have got stamina. You're gonna beat people down with your conversation. Are we there yet, Stig?
I did warn you about that. I warned you. I told you.
Like that one. Hold on. Give me a second. Almost there.
We are there any moment.
Hey, Stig, just a quick question. Are you on hourly?
Say what?
Are you on hourly rate?
How does he know these things?
Oh, no. Oh my God. So what? So quick question then, while we're just waiting for that. So Greg, what kind of weapons training were you doing this morning?
All Oriental weapons this morning. So the guy I trained tactical handgun stuff with and rifle work and room entries and stuff. He's over in Afghanistan at the moment doing stuff in the sand, playing in the sandbox. He's back end of January, but at the moment I'm teaching advanced. So blade work, I do side nunchaku, do the bow, all sorts of stuff. The kame, like the stickles.
I would like to get some information from you on when I am currently with my son. He is 16 and constantly beats me at chess. So if you have anything I can do with a chess piece that would help me, that would be useful. useful information.
There's a number of things you can do with chess pieces.
Yeah, shove it up the nose. That's one. That's one from
I was
me.
thinking lower to back. You got about
Higher,
how many
higher.
orifices do we have in the human body?
Oh dear. Okay, so guys, are you ready for Celebrity Thunderdome? So the two characters you will be representing. So PJ, you have got Baby Groot, and
Okay.
and Greg, you have Baby Yoda. So it's all very topical at the moment. So PJ, you have 30 seconds to explain to the audience why Baby Groot is going to kick Yoda's ass. Okay, are you ready?
Okay.
Three,
Yeah.
2, 1, go.
I would use my little Groot-like powers to find a seed within Yoda's belly and expand it, make it grow fast as possible. That's it.
Oh, that was pretty dynamic. Okay, now over to you then, Greg. Well, that's
I would,
That little bugger will wave his hands at me before you know it'll be flat in my arse. So no wait.
well, I would accept that seed, and as it was starting to grow on my belly, I would reverse the impart, and just explode it at my backside and take it straight through the skull.
Oh. Well, we didn't see that one coming, I must admit. Who talks? Who has this? Who has this on a YouTube show, eh? So, guys, it's up to you online if you want to vote for Baby Groot or if you want to vote for Baby Yoda. So, who will win on the Celebrity Thunderdome? We will find out.
I'd go for Groot because I just think that's a cooler character.
I think he is really to be fair.
I can't watch ever since I watched the original couple of Star Wars. I mean, I just think I've seen better film on teeth. And it's, I mean, really, over the years, they've diminished what it was. It used to be so wonderful, the early stuff, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And you can literally see George Lucas behind the screen doing that to you. You know, give me your money, I'm not doing it. And it's been really hard to re-engage me in those films because they spoiled them for me so badly. So it's for me to be dragging myself and be willing to hand over money to see something I'm hoping they put work. I mean, I hope they do a great job of it because
the Mandalorian is wonderful, though.
Is it? I'll have to have a look at it because I haven't.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian is fantastic.
Who directed it? Who wrote and directed it though?
It's been written every episode is a different director. Yeah. Robert Rodriguez did the latest one, and it's got some fantastic action.
Some cool stuff. Robert does some good stuff. Yeah. If you ever want to see some really cool little shorts, BMW did a series of short films. Remember those years ago?
Yeah.
They were really cool. But Robert did one of them there.
Oh, you have to watch Mandalorian.
I'll have a look at it. You'll convince me. And if it's wrong, just remember that little red dot doesn't wipe off.
Okay.
So first of all, thanks to everybody for backing the graphic novel. We've already hit the bonus. Well, we hit the target early within the first 4 hours. So I had a very excited Stig sort of call me at about 9 o'clock this morning going, we've already hit the target. So it's
it was online yet, and I'm drawing it, so I don't.
Yeah, no pressure now, PJ. No pressure.
Finished this thing then, hadn't I?
But also, we've had so much feedback, and Ryan's. We've got so many people starting to push it over the weekend as well. So it's really going to take off. So hopefully, this is the first book in many. And we've got a really, really cool story which goes across a lot of graphic novels, and they all interweave.
Please tell me you made Mark my bitch.
Mark is your bitch. So PJ and Matt, just to introduce you. So Greg is part of Double Trouble. So there is Greg and Dana with their was it Gun Butler? Do we call Mark? Mr. Sexton?
Yeah.
They don't turn up until the second.
The second book, yeah. So,
which I haven't read yet because I want to keep myself in suspense.
Have you met Dana? You guys met Dana? No, you guys have. But
No.
she's you slap a set of tits on me, you got Dana, and it's that's how we describe each other. She says it in reverse. You knock the tits off her, you got me, and we're very similar. But she's a hilarious person. She's really good fun, and she's a very talented person. Really talented stunt chick. Yeah.
And Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She's done lots of stuff. She's doubled many people, but she does some really cool work, and she's got her own stunt school in New Zealand, which we teach at sometimes. We fly to New Zealand and teach gun stuff, but they're really good fun, good people. Yeah.
So also, hopefully,
I ever even see people. You're filming people or not? I see no one. No one.
We are in 2022. We are actually over we're playing our first load of tours in Australia because we're over supporting the Mad Max Museum, and it's the Mad Max 2 40-year anniversary.
God, where's mine? I've got one here somewhere too. Actually, let me go bigger.
So what that is for PJ and Matt and Dave, there's a guy called Adi who's an absolute star from Bradford, saw Mad Max 2, loved the film so much he moved his whole family over to Broker Hill in Australia and opened up a Mad Max 2 museum. So big cheers to these guys.
I would like to hear the conversation with his wife where she goes,
Yeah.
moving to Australia.
Now, PJ, if you saw where they moved to, you would. It's one of those WTF moments. Like, people live here. There's nothing. You go to Silverton where the museum is. There's donkeys and there's camels and there's just dust and red. It's just you look. Yeah, what? That's a cool museum. It's great fun.
You promised me Sydney.
Have you ever seen Wake in Fright? It's like that. Actually, if you haven't watched a movie, seriously, go watch a film which was shot about Australia called Wake in Fright. Done back in the old days with an English actor called Gary Bond, and it was done by a Canadian director, and they only just rediscovered it, and the archives have redone it. It's an amazing movie, but it's shot in Silverton, right where the Mad Max Museum is, and it's about a school teacher trying to get to Sydney, and he never gets there. And it's a brilliant movie. It's really well worth a watch.
Yeah.
So I must admit, we're super excited about that. And what Adi's doing during the COVID lockdown, etc., he's actually building the Mad Max 2 camp, the encampment, like a replica of it. So this is this mad guy from Bradford.
Time to kill.
It's just awesome. So massive cheers to Adi and Linda. You guys rock. They are living the dream. So
awesome people.
Yeah, awesome people. Awesome people. So back to you then, Dave. So with the Kickstarter, first of all, did you enjoy the ICE interview last night? The ICE Comic Con.
I'm not a natural for this sort of thing, as you can tell. But, no, it's good. It was good. It was, interesting. Yeah. And the Kickstarter's gone, so we try and have like little reward tiers. So £500 we do a reward. You get like a card, an art card, and things. And I prepared a load in advance, but we've blown through all of those. So I need to get busy.
Also just a quick one then. So PJ, so you're now back frantically drawing the rest of it. It is looking amazing.
I want to say this. I think this stuff I'm sending you at the moment is some of the best work of my career. It's just so you do work that is good, and then you do work that is bad, and you do work this kind of, and there are little moments where you kind of spot some sort of change in your own art style where you go, oh, this is different than what I was doing before. And so there's a point about halfway through. I don't think the stuff I've been doing previously had been bad, but I think somehow there's a little leap I think has happened, and I'm not quite sure why. It's just sort of happened because the past 3 weeks I've been struggling to draw at all. It's partly pandemic and family stuff and just trying to crawl through. So I have a 10-page 2000 AD thing that I've been doing that's taken about 2 months to do, and I've just been, like 2 months to do 10 pages is rubbish. Whereas this I've burned through in 2 pages a day.
Got to be as sexy.
Were you PJ? Were you a sort of a Mad Max fan initially? Is this all new to you?
I suspect like I honestly can't even remember watching the first couple, the first few movies. I'm sure I saw them. I'm sure they were on VHS, and I caught them late at night or something. Fury Road was amazing, and I remember actually going to a Dublin Comic Convention where Brendan McCarthy was at.
Hey, Brendan, yeah.
This is when it was being filmed, and Brendan was at this comic convention, and we were sitting having dinner, and Brendan goes, fuck's sake, I've got to go to Australia. This film's a fucking mess. And we were talking about it, going, what's the film? That's mad. It's the new Mad Max. It's been doing this. It's been going filming for like 6 years or something. It's going to be a pigging disaster. It's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. It was amazing. And so I mean, my diet of films is I watch them, let them wash over me, go on to the next thing. They don't stick with me for very long. It's artwork and comics and stuff tends to stick a lot longer with me, but films and stuff don't. But the Fury Road was incredible. So.
Yeah. So initially then, Greg, how did you get involved in Fury Road?
I was writing my own projects with George. So George and I met actually through Angry, and Angry was the catalyst of us meeting each other. He just kept saying to me and I'd never seen a Mad Max. I didn't give a fuck about him. And he,
Well, I was feeling bad about my answer.
and he came up to me one day and he said, "There's a guy you got to meet. I just think you'll get on." And of course we'd already lost Byron Kennedy, who died. And actually, one of my friends was actually the person that pulled Byron out of the helicopter crash when he died.
Oh my gosh.
And so George had lost Byron anyway. So he just said this. He said, "I don't know why." I said, "I feel you need to meet this guy." And he said, "It's George Miller." I'm going like, "George, okay, what's he done?" And he started explaining to me. I knew nothing about movies back then, but I was still writing. I was teaching myself to write. And so he said, "I'll organise lunch." So he tees up lunch with us. I think I've told you. Angry bugged out to a bloody Triple J interview for like 4 hours. Came back 4 hours later, and George and I are still chatting about life and things. And George said, "Oh, Angry said you do some film and this and that." And he goes, "Show me what you've done." So I showed George all the stuff I was working on. And it's really bizarre. I was a self-taught writer. And so I had no idea how to structure a screenplay. I just went with what my gut would do in a situation. And he read it and he said, "We'd like to put this in development," which is Warriors Lost, which is the one we've been working on and off for years. And the reason it hasn't been made is because a studio will always fund a guaranteed success, like a part 3 or a part 4 or a part 2 versus bringing something new in. So it's a really tough call to make a studio do something. And so we were working on that quite happily in 1998 when Fury Road was slated to be sort of underway. And then I was sitting with George working on my film when he got the call, which was to me the great leadership moment of him, when he gets the phone call and where the studios basically said the film's cancelled. And George hangs up the phone. He goes, "Okay, Doug, thanks. Yep, okay, bye." I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Oh, Mad Max just got cancelled." Anyway, so back to this, and just kept working with me. And it was like, wow, okay, that must be a pretty big hit. But and we just kept going. And then it was, Happy Feet. It all spawned from Happy Feet, I think, when the film was a complete clusterfuck. And then it was the moment when George came up to me after the film running for 12 months and said, "I think you need to direct this film with me." And it wasn't a big film. That was like 30 million. And I said, I know nothing about computers, penguins, animation, I like nothing. I've got no idea. You'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. And so I've always been a big believer in saying yes to stuff and just go with it and see what happens. And I said to George, "If I screw it up, just sack me." But I said, "I promise you I won't." And I basically lived and slept on set and very rarely came home. And I sat, I'm a big believer that in my team of people, if I can't technically help them, then I'll sit with them and get them coffee and dinner and just be with them for company. I will never bail out before they go home till 3 a.m. I didn't care. Whatever time it was, I'd be there. And we built this great team, and Happy Feet became a success. And then from there, George said, "Oh, I'd love you to choreograph Fury Road," because he'd seen all my fight work. And I'd never choreographed a fight film in my life, like really. And I said, "How do you train for this?" He goes, "Oh, you'll work it out." So it was always the "you'll work it out" factor. And then we, of course, get there, and there's all these monster vehicles and the fight sequencing and the stuff the artists were drawing. I'm going, okay, this is going to be interesting. So it went from there. But it was I only ever did Fury Road as a favor to George, because originally I was going to be the bullet farmer.
Oh my God.
He wanted me to play the bullet farmer. And then, of course, Richard was just astounding. There's no way I would have tried to compete with him, because and Richard has this great voice and this real gnarled look. And so I became his butler. I was basically the Mark Sexton. I was another Praetorian, but I was essentially the gun guy for him. But it was so I could keep an eye on him, because Richard was very unsure about firearms. And that got me, into that position where we could do some film work. But as far as it went, the fight stuff and the gun stuff was all based out of sort of my background. And as a favor to George, I mean, many times I could have walked away because the stunt director and I didn't get on well at all, and it was a tough time. So, but I promised George I'd make the movie and stick it out till the end, which is what we did. And it was you can feel the pain on the screen, but I think hopefully for people that watched it, it was worth the effort. So.
Oh, absolutely stunning. So just a quick one going over to some of the work from PJ. So PJ, Mark, Stig, if you could sort of show some of the comic art. So PJ, on what? Well, keep going. So that's one of Gustavo's. Yeah. And again.
You can tell that's not by me, because he spelt the hat right. I have succeeded in spelling the hat wrong. So
yeah. Oh, exactly. I thought it was just in a mirror. So, so with this, PJ, what do you? So this is all done digitally.
Yeah.
So how did you sort of with Nort? Do you want to explain a bit about your drawing technique, or how you sort of? Because you have to work out camera angles and dynamics and lighting.
I'll talk you through the process, because I love talking. I read the script, and then start breaking it down into panels, and figure out what the intent is, and not just the intent of the script, but also, you know, the physicality. There's weird limited, like, because this isn't real, like, no, these are not built sets, these are not real locations, these are things I'm making up at all times. There's a certain malleability to the physics of it all, and so you're trying to make that play into what message you want to convey. You want this guy to look super big and imposing and stuff, and how you want to make it look like they're inside a cage. I mean, some aspects of the script confused me because I was doing a skim read, and you're kind of going, where's that supposed to be? But then you're kind of making it all up. So I mean, that's the kind of the gist of it. I generally will do thumbnails, which are small pencils. I mean, literally that sort of size. They're not very big. And I will do those digitally, and then I'll kind of, if they're okay, the job of that is to kind of go through the page and go, what's happening here, what's happening here, what's happening here, who needs to speak first, where are they going to be, who needs to speak next, where are they going to be, and so on. There's a kind of ironclad rule in comics, which is everyone who speaks is on the left. So you start with you look at your dialogue, and that lets you position where people are, and you're always trying to get those people onto the left-hand side. It's not always possible. I did a book called The String Bags with Garth Ennis, which is about a team of, it's a 3-man team on a ferry swordfish, which is this airplane that the crew sit in the airplane with the pilot at the front, the navigator in the middle, and then the tail gunner at the back facing the opposite direction. So to get the person speaking left to right there becomes a real matter of huge amounts of logistics, and how do you figure out what the shot is going to be, and so on. So sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. In this one, for example, there's shots of them all inside this little buggy, and I've drawn Nott there so large that when he gets into this buggy, you'll be kind of going, how does he even get in there?
PJ, thank you for making the gunman and gun girl right-handed, because I'm so artists always draw gun people with fucking left-handed shooters like our retarded special friends. And so thank you for being like the first artist. Even Mark drew some stuff for one of my characters, and the gun is left. So no one's left-handed. We make everyone right-handed on purpose. So yeah, thank you. Just a quick thing. I'm not ignoring you, by the way. I'm looking. I've got the images blown up on one of my other screens, so I can look at the detail.
I suspect what's going on there is most artists are using mirrors for reference, so they're kind of drawing what they see in the mirror.
Are you left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed. I don't use a mirror though, because I'm so beautiful. I like to imagine what I look like. No, I mean, when you've been drawn for a long time, I'm sure you have this in martial arts, where you know where your body is. You know the position. You know if you put your hand behind your back, where it is in 3D space. And the same is true of art. Sometimes I think, well, for me anyway, I find I can make a face that I want the character to make, and not having a mirror there, it doesn't matter too much, because I can feel what my face is doing, and I've got quite a goofy looking face, so that kind of, those kind of exaggerations are easy. And I mean, look, I've had people complain. Artists don't really know about guns. The amount of stuff we've got to know about is insane. Like
we do, because we were doing graphic novels with George. We did, of course, the Mad Max stuff. We did stuff before that. We had my own graphic novel for my own film, and we did a lot of work with Mark and with Chewy Chan and with a heap of people that worked with us. And I got to know Brendan really well. He worked with us for years, and just watching what they did and learning about what had to earn its place and how it worked in the frame, and it's really interesting, and it takes a lot of work. And one thing we do on a fight perspective is we draw everything topographically, so we know where it is in world space, which helps us a lot through things. But no, it's true. You've got a lot of guys use mirrors, but I know Mark's left-handed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the topographical thing's interesting, because sometimes I will map out topographically where people are be, and they're going to stand and going to talk and so on. And like film, you're trying not to break the 180 rule, so you're trying not to flip the camera around. So you're also limited by that fact. You've got to try and get the person who's speaking first on the left, so they're always on the left-hand side. But there's also you want a sort of malleability where there's a thing in cinema, I think it's called a diatopic lens, I think it's called, where you can focus on something close and something far away at the same time. And in cinema, it looks a bit weird People
Mm.
people do it, but in cinema it can look a bit weird. But in comics, it's the most natural thing in the world. Everything's in
Yeah.
focus. Everything's in
Yes.
sharp focus. So you do tend to use that a lot. So you tend to, for example, if I have two people in a vehicle, I'll go super close up on one person's face, and then the other person will look like they're 2 miles away. But it still sort of works because you know how big a car is, and so
Yeah.
you're looking at it and going, they feel distant from each other. Your brain's doing all this interpretation of the artwork.
When you
Yeah.
draw, PJ, do you think in colour, even though you're drawing in black and white? Because it must be. Does that make any sense? Like if you're.
I generally rely on a good colorist to fix everything I've done wrong. So no, I have drawn for color. So drawing for color in comics is different because what you're essentially doing is not worrying about the shading. You're kind of given a very open space for a colorist to come in and do whatever they want to do with it. What I tend to do is I sort of grew up on a diet of black and white comics, so I tend to draw for black and white reproduction, and then hopefully there's enough that a colorist can come in and do something. One of the other differences between film and comics is I can light for drama from panel to panel.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you that right then.
What was that, Greg?
I was going to ask you that very question, literally, because
yeah,
no, keep going. That's exactly what I was going to ask.
I'll keep going. I'll answer all the questions no one's ever asked me. That's what I do. Ask my wife. I won't shut up. So I kind of like for drama. I like for where the storytelling needs to point you to. I will light people's faces to make sure you're looking to the left of them. I'll light people's faces the next panel so that suddenly everything's a heightened drama. And if you tried to do that in cinema, it looks weird. It looks very odd.
We light for black and white and shoot in color. So
Yeah.
we'll always, that's one thing we've always done is like always lit for black and white. A lot of people don't; they just shoot and light in color. But we've always done it as if it was going to be shot in black and white, which is why our Chrome film worked. You know, the Mad Max Chrome, because we lit it for black and white.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say the Chrome one was outstanding.
Yeah, and
So
that's because
that's
we've
why.
always two things George taught me outside of about the 500,000 other things is that you always light for black and white, and we always cut a film in silence.
Okay.
We don't run the audio. You have to be able to follow the film visually before you worry about the audio. Yeah, because it's just another layer.
Similar thing in comics too, where I will tell people who want to improve their artwork. Like if you want to get better at drawing comics, the thing to do is to take your comic without dialogue, without lettering, and show it to someone who doesn't read comics and ask them to explain what's happening in that story. And if they can explain it to you, then you've done a great job. If they are confused about where the people are, if they're confused about what's happening or where someone is in relative to another character, you've done a bad job. And the thing is that it first of all helps you improve in immeasurable ways. It really does help you improve a lot. But it gets rid of the factor where you show some artwork to the only person you trust, which is usually your partner, and they go, "Oh, you're just so brilliant."
It's awesome, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And you go, no, that's lovely, but please don't tell me if it's good. I just want to know, do you understand what's going on? And they look at it and they go, I think it's really lovely.
Show it to another artist because they're going to find fault no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. So a quick question back to Dave. So Dave, in the new comic book, who is your favourite character?
I think the Pagan Sisters.
Oh, I'm really excited about that.
They confused me, Dave. And now we're on here. Can you tell me something, right? When I see the phrase Pagan Sisters, I'm expecting two little girls.
Oh, well.
Are they the doll and the little girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Because that confused me an awful lot. What you gotta remember is, we're visual people. That's what we were and we visualize things. The moment we see some words written down, that's what we're visualizing. And it's hard to shake that out of us. It's why sometimes someone will say something to me when I'm out in a bar, and I'll burst out laughing. They'll go, "What's the matter?" And I've totally visualized whatever absurdity is that's come out of their mouth, and they're going, "That's a weird thing to think. You're a weirdo." So it's it's a tough nut to crack that. But anyway, that's good. I know that now.
So PJ, what's your favourite character so far from drawing?
I quite like drawing the lines. I mean, I'm looking to do. I'm more invested, I think, in trying to make the artwork sing.
Yeah.
Now I've kind of. So my art style generally is what I describe to people, what I would describe to people is me just drawing. I mean, it's not more fancy than that. I'm not I'm not going for any kind of high impact. I'm just trying to draw the story, tell the story. But I've got good at telling the story now. So now I think I'm allowing myself to kind of let's polish this a bit and see if I can't introduce little things to this artwork that make it look pretty as well.
Here's a question for you guys. Here's a question. So what we used to do is we would sit when we were writing. We would sit with Mark and I and a few of the other guys would sit together, like the artists would sit together, and we would mesh over it because what we'd say when we direct, we would go, how do we trim down because I hate dialogue. I would say, how do we trim down the dialogue with the image or with the camera shot? How do we conflate the camera shot to make it less? How do we make these boards into one? So it's the same with you guys. You ever get together and go, okay, well, this frame kind of takes care of that dialogue, and you can trim it back, or vice versa, or add dialogue where it's needed. Like, do you ever work together?
Yeah, not quite. But so we give the script to the artist. PJ then does the artwork, and then we tend to trim out some of the dialogue. We trim out some of the text because we don't need to say it.
Yep. So cool.
That's the kind of same kind of process. But
generally, I've worked with quite a lot of writers. Usually they get, usually there's nothing to do there except tell the story as well as possible and the dialogue and stuff. They've all been professionals. I've worked a lot with Garth Ennis, and Garth, you couldn't touch a single line of Garth stuff without. I've definitely done stuff with Garth's where I've got an email that said, "This is wrong. Do it again as per the script," and I've had to kind of go back and go.
George used to just give us 2 lines written through it with no written on it, like on 30 pages, and throw it back to you. Just with no. That was all you got. No. Comics is very much an assembly line. It is the writer, artist, and colorist and letterer, and there's not the gaps in time that you might want. There's the kind of it's produced to deadlines. I mean, I know film is the same as well, but you don't have that luxury of time that you might have in film where I suppose where we work, that was our rare thing, is we had the money and the time to just keep we were writing on Warriors Lost for 15 years. I mean, you don't do that anywhere because we just kept reworking it in between films and stuff. And so even Fury Road was on and off for 17 years. I mean, it's a long time. So no one does that. We do. So it's you can keep remeshing it.
I kind of always think like that. You'll read reviews of your own work. I'll read reviews of my own work, and I'll go, "Oh, this looks rushed." And I can guarantee you, the stuff that looks rushed is the least rushed stuff I've done. It's the stuff that's taken the longest because I just cannot get it out of my pen. And so I've described this before to my wife and to other people. It's like when things are going badly in drawing, it's like that scene in Harry Potter where he's writing with the nib and it's drawing a line on his hand at the same time. It's like scarring it into yourself. Every line is pain. And that stuff that people go, that's a bit rushed looking. You're going, no, that was 9 months. 9 months that took. This other stuff that you think is brilliant, 3 days. That's what that took. So, I always think the longer I've gotten something, the more danger there is of me going off the rails and kind of like if the words I dread to hear is just whenever you're ready. No. I mean, number one, I will faff around. I'll get it drawn. I'll look at it and I'll go, this could be a wee bit better. I'll maybe just redraw that, and then you end up redrawing all of it. And then and also that means that I'm not going to get an invoice out in a reasonable period of time.
Totally. I mean, but Andrew Stanton said that to us. Andrew he directed Wally and all those films. Andrew said that to us once. He goes, I had like this long to write this thing, and I did it in the last 2 days. Nothing for 10 months. And went, it'll be done by Monday.
Oh my God!
Punch out a tree. And some of the best work happens when you have to get it done.
I think it is.
It just fills whatever amount of time you've been given gets filled with crap to do. That is not the actual finishing thing. So right. But I mean, I do try and get stuff done as quickly as possible because I when I'm enjoying it, like I'm enjoying drawing this bunch of pages for the V2A thing at the moment. When I'm enjoying it, it comes out really fast. I mean, this stuff is not coming out as fast as I want because I am spending. I mean, there's literally more lines on it. That's literally it. It's like Amadeus where he goes, "There's too many notes. There's too many lines on some of these pages I've drawn." And if you erased a bunch of these lines, it would probably look just as good. I just spent a long time drawing them, but they're kind of pretty. They're kind of pretty. It's me trying a Bolland thing, and not quite getting there. But
so, Drone, who's your favourite character?
Mine, I like Nort. I think Nort is. I think PJ's. You've captured him you've created a
lot of change.
created a monster. He's going to be an awesome character. It's so much fun as well with the dialogue and his story path as well. So just a quick question over to Skelly. So you haven't seen this yet, but what was your favourite part in book 0?
Probably the car chase and the blowing stuff up.
Just simple man with simple pleasures.
Have you got any aspirations for your character going forward, apart from not being killed?
Well, that really blow more shit up.
Blow more shit up. And talking of blowing more stuff up, mechanized.
My very large cat.
Hey,
Aye.
over to you, mechanized. So you are well known in the comic for being the lady with all the guns and bazookas and all the big weaponry. So what?
I don't even understand why.
I've never
Should be on a motorbike.
It's whenever you get
Yes,
a
with
script that
guns
says,
and
"The night
everything."
you found a bazooka," and you think, "Where's this been?" I don't know where it's been.
But
No one ever asks.
But for Greg, PJ, and Dave, Mechanized is she causes chaos wherever we go. So when we're out, sort of in the Mojave Desert or whatever, and it's getting real and mad stuff is going on, it's always Mechanized is always in sort of in the middle of it, all of it. So
It's always got to be her.
it's always her. So Mechanized, a quick question over to you. Do we have a question? We've got a question. So what you can do, guys, online, you can win a V2A elf, which I'm going to post-apocalyptic up, put a gas mask on and all the rest of it. So what we've got, over to you, Mechanized, with the quiz for the people online.
Just be put on the spot here, but yeah, that's fine.
Have you got it? Have you got it?
No,
It's on your table.
no.
No, not in that bag. You remember?
Ah,
Oh, God, blimey. Go on, Mechanized. Oh, my God. She's been drinking. She's on the gin. She's on the gin, Greg. And,
no,
and
you
PJ.
can ask the question.
Well, you've got
That's
to...
not, that's why you. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, do you want to explain?
I've got this biohazard bag, very pandemic 2020. So in my magic bag, I've got a figure out of a Mad Max film. I'm not telling you which one because this is what you have to find out. So this figure, it's very hard.
So, guys, if you get a guess, put it up on the notice board, and the first person to get it right will win the post-apocalyptic elf.
I'll be honest, I didn't even get the question because it came out like a Terminator.
Oh, so yeah.
Okay.
It came out all robotically weird. But I don't know if that was just me.
Well, as I said, I've got this little bag. In my little bag is something out of a Mad Max film. And you have to find out who this character in my bag is.
Okay.
Yeah?
Are you going to give us some hints?
Okay. So I give you now some hints. So the figure is hard, has
Sounds like a porn.
has a weird haircut with tight back, looks like dreadlocks.
Which film is
makes
this?
like,
Which film is this from?
Fury Road, because Greg is here.
Okay.
So yeah, so it has something.
I'm going to pretend I'd knock the socks off everyone on this quiz, but I have to go. So
Okay, PJ, no problem. Thank you
lovely
so
to meet everyone.
Cheers, PJ. We will see you
I
soon.
know in the Kickstarter.
Awesome. Thank you very
Bye,
much.
PJ. See you soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so it has a weird figure. It looks like the haircut is like dreadlocks tied back. It has something big and silver in its hand, which is rocking a lot in the film. It makes weird screechy sounds while he's handling it.
This is sounding so dodgy, isn't
The
it?
suit is very similar to my hair.
What, made of hair?
No, the color of the
What?
suit is of my hair.
What else is in that specimen bag? It's like a serial killer buffet.
Well, I'm hoping it's screen accurate. So, yeah, it's making a lot of noise, like a lot of wank, wank, wank sounds.
Wank, wank,
Anybody?
Wank sounds.
Okay, do
George?
you want to show everybody what the character is, and the first person to type it in on the chat is going to win the post-apocalyptic elf
Are you ready?
on the shelf.
Reveal.
Reveal!
Doof. What? Ah.
Coma.
Freak Bear got Doof. Layla got Doof.
Whoever was first.
I think.
No, they got it right. They got it right. Coma.
I think
His name's
Whisper's
Coma.
got it. I think Whisper's got it. It's going to America.
So a quick question back to Greg. So Greg, in Fury Road, apart from your own character, what was your second most favourite?
Oh, my own character wasn't my favourite. It was, I mean, my favourite character in the film was Mason playing his little character.
Yeah.
You know, just because he had great time. But no, I mean, for me, who was it? It was probably, and I mean, I know we lost it the other day, it was Huey, and it was all, in all honesty, with Hugh. It was either Hugh or Nux, that were the two. And I think that, you know, Hugh playing the Immortan, only because I've worked with Hugh for 16 years, you know, and it was an absolute privilege. And it's one of those guys in film you wish all actors were like. You know, he was an absolute enigma, you know, and one of my favorite presence characters. I mean, when we were doing Justice League in 06 and he was playing Martian Manhunter, we had Megan Gale dressed as Wonder Woman. You didn't even look at her because he just became this character, and phenomenal. Yeah, and he amazing man, and just a gentleman, and just a lot of fun. And I think I've told you the story when we were together on Justice League with these American actors are sitting there. Huey's coming in dressed like a samurai. He's with his big pants and this belt like Batman, all of leather, and his big singlet. He was a big guy, you know, big.
Yeah.
He had his hair in a top knot. And he comes and sits, we're sitting down at the meeting table, puts his arm around me, he goes, Greggy, he goes, you and I could kill every fucking cunt at this table. There's nothing they could do about it. And he pulls out this flick knife, he goes, because only you and I understand the true meaning of fucking real steel. And every one of these actors, like Common, DJ, you know, Catrono, Jade Baruchel, are all looking down going, oh, we got to work with this guy? And his other hand's going, I grab you on the knee, he goes, we got him. And he was one of these people that just commanded, you know, he was an absolute presence. And he would just look at George sometimes. George would go, what, Hugh? What? He go, nothing, George, you know. And he was an amazing guy. And I mean, but as a character in the film, he brought something amazing to the screen. It was out of him and Nux. I mean, Nicholas, you know, did a great role as Nux, and he had the most growth through the film. I mean, the arc of character for him was astounding. And yeah, and Nick's a great guy too. I got lots of time for Nick, and even Slit. I mean, Josh, who played Slit, those characters had some real mongrel to them. There's something about it. But yeah, I think the Immortan for me was probably the one. It's not because Huey passed the other day. It's because of what Hugh brought to that role, and it was astounding. Except we used to have him on stilts. When he first came in to be in the film, he was meant to be on stilts, but Hugh liked to smoke bongs, and so he came in one day. He goes, he's right up here on these painter stilts. He goes, Greggy, you got to hold my hand. He said, I'm kind of floating. We said, let's just bring you back on the ground for a little bit. Yeah, it was his character. The Immortan character was amazing. You know, really was, and I think the film would have been much less of a film without him in it. Yeah, big time.
And I must admit, so we'd like to dedicate this show to Hugh, who was an awesome guy. We never met him in person, but we spoke online. And also, if we can dedicate the first book just to Hugh, who had a massive.
He literally lived just up the road. They lived just up the road from us.
Wow.
In Lisarow, not far from, and there. So Christina and Hugh have been there for years, and that shot's in his backyard.
Yeah.
And but yeah, awesome human being, and I have some really great stories from my time with him. And I think anyone that got time with him was very privileged, because he was and right back when he was toe cutter. And my wife introduced him as the Knight Rider.
Oh!
Very first time we met, she goes, "Oh, I know you're the Knight Rider." He goes,
But even in Mad Max 1, he was absolutely stunning. Mate, he just commanded the screen.
He made it. He made the film. He's just that kind of guy. He just and you know, but his history. You could write a movie on Huey's history, from being born in India to a family of British generals who expected him to follow in their footpath, who decided to take off and join a Shakespearean traveling acting company. They basically almost disowned him, and he went and toured the world and became an actor. I mean, it just an amazing actor. They're like he and I was talking to Angry last night about it. He goes, my favorite line in the whole of the Mad Max series is from Mad Max 1. He goes, when Huey goes, "You're not doing it for him, Bubba. You're doing it for me." and he said, it's my favorite line in the whole film series, you know, that one liner. But he just, as toe cutter, he was astounding. just he brought something to this. And Steve Bisley talks about all that stuff. When they used to, he and Mel got given the unit that the biker guys were all in from Mad Max Fun. They threw all the biker guys out and put Steve and Mel in there. He said, we found notes here. We're going to fucking kill you. We're going to ice you. You're dead quick. And you're dead bronze. And they wrote it. He said, we pull out something out of a coffee cup. It'd be everywhere. There'd be notes saying they were going to kill us. The bronze is dead to us. We're going to murder you. And he said it just made it something, something different. And he brought a whole level of stuff to it, So, yeah, but I got some great behind the scenes stuff with him, which I'll treasure forever. Yeah, awesome guy. Awesome guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a big bitter shock when we heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Brilliant insights, Greg. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for the insights on that. So,
pleasure.
a bit back to Dave. So, Dave, what is the next step for the comic?
So it's lettering, really. So once I get all the artwork covered, we'll letter it. We'll look at the script again. I'll letter it myself, and then we'll go through it, Kev.
Yeah.
We'll just work out what works and what doesn't. I think we need to put some text over it as well as a dialogue. So yeah, that's the fun bit.
Excellent.
Well, from the bits I've seen, it's looking awesome. So yeah, keep going.
So a quick question back to you then, Greg, because we are just going through the character design for Double Trouble, which is you, Dana, and your gun butler, Mr. Sexton. So even though it's Double Trouble, there's three of you. So the fun bit is you and Dana both class yourself as Double Trouble. But if you ever get Mark on his own, he thinks he's one of the main Double Trouble people as well.
Yeah, he's the same way. I suppose I visualized Coma when I put Coma together for the fight. Like when Coma was first brought into that fight scene, it was never for him to be in the fight. It was the most orgasmic moment he could have had was to be involved in a fight, which he normally becomes the bagpiper for.
Yeah.
And so to have him to make him utilize him in this fight scene, but never actually hurt him. That was the thing. That's why Max gave him back the guitar. So when I had him jump down, I said, Max, drop the guitar, go straight back to his arms. He's playing and he's ripping out chords because he's had the most orgasmic moment. Normally these guys are fighting and he's playing, but finally he's in the mix. And I think that's Mark's moment. He suddenly thinks he's one of the team. And and as soon as it's finished, you just discard him like an old condom.
So for your character, what would be your choice weapons? Of course, it's obviously going to be guns. Lots of it. Is there any specific guns or weaponry?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of handguns. I mean, for me, my only comic I ever read growing up, and I have the entire series from #1, is The Phantom. And that's all I read as a child because I wanted to be strong. I wanted to know how to fight and I wanted to know how to shoot. And that's what he did. Everything I wanted is what he did. So when Lee Falk did the Phantom comics, the guy with the 2 pistols who could knuckle like no one else, who was strong, and that was what I wanted. And so it was always the handguns for me, even though I shoot long guns and all the other stuff. It was always handguns for me were the most exciting. But how to utilize them as a fight implement as well. In case you ever got onto that hand-to-hand, how to utilize it as not a shooting element, or to draw it in and make it a fun thing to knock someone off with,
Yeah, awesome. Because talking to Dana, she said her character, she just wants sort of knives and that kind of stuff, that kind of weaponry. So she's very much into that. So you're going to be the gun-toting leader. Dana's with the...
And there's always great ways you can utilize from one to the other.
Definitely.
Whack, off the vehicle, you double up. That's where the double trouble happens.
And
what's the old saying out of lock stock? Guns for show, knives for a pro.
Exactly. And also, I think it was your idea initially of having Mark as technically the gun butler.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to. Yeah, there must be a better name for him. And he's got to have the glasses. You've got to leave some sort of scratched up.
Definitely. Well, we've got this one. We've got a guy called Christian who is one of the top artists for Games Workshop. So he's been designing some of the vehicles, and your vehicle is actually a post-apocalyptic ice cream van. So it's it is.
There's got to be the arrow with the free ice cream inside on there.
No, definitely. There's going to be lots of sort of in jokes for Mad Max fans, etc., on that. So
awesome.
That's going to be amazing. Also, let me just share this. So a massive thank you to Ryan Brown. So Ryan works for Marvel, 2000 AD, DC, and he actually did this cover, which is just crazy good.
Awesome.
His artwork is just stunning. So what did you think, Dave, the first time you saw this?
It's amazing, isn't it? It's got a very Frank Frazetta kind of vibe to it. I think it's tremendous. Yeah, it's beyond what anything I could expect. It's amazing.
So the initial idea with the comic is we wanted to do the best thing that we possibly could generate. So with the story, we tried to get some tips from Greg and Mark about the background work and the effort you put into Fury Road. So all the characters have got backstories. There's a reason why they look like certain ways, and we've interweaved a lot of that stuff over all the different books.
It's like I love seeing, even when we were doing Warriors Lost, everything was pillaged. So I love seeing bullet holes in body armor and think you go, okay, so he's got that from the dead guy. So you see all where he's pillaged from. You get all that backstory from the articles of clothing or from whatever he's got. You see where it's been makeshift from. You go, that became that. Okay, that's become that. Oh, awesome. Because the inventiveness of the human species is amazing when it needs to. Necessity breeds the most amazing invention. So when you see that inside a character, what doesn't ever get me in a story, graphic novel, whatever, is when you see a character with this massive weapon and it doesn't have any. There's nothing behind it looking like a big blade or a big knife or a big gun or a big whatever. It's got to have its own character. So everything is used. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. And I think, as we were talking about before, what I learned from graphic novels is everything in the frame has to earn its place. And so when I look at every frame of a graphic novel, I'm really looking at everything because there's detail in everything these guys draw. There's proper detail that gives you more information, or it shouldn't be there. And I love seeing that because I go, wow, this is an artist that understands story. And so you get more character from every element, which is cool. And I can't wait to see it come through in the graphic novel of V2A. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for being involved with this. It's a real privilege to have you guys on board with your own characters. Emil Minty is super excited. So a quick shout out to Petra, Emil's daughter, who had a birthday yesterday, I think, or this weekend. So a big shout out to those guys.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And also to Jason Kingsley and Jared and Mark and Dana, etc. All the people out there who've got their own characters.
And Vlad, obviously.
Exactly. I think we are nearly there. So just before we go, Dave, over to you. Any sort of final words to the guys? Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who's jumped on the Kickstarter. We weren't expecting to hit the target in the first 4 hours, and we've already blown that, and it's going crazy at the moment. So tomorrow, me and Dave are going to sit down and work out more stretch goals because we're drastically catching up.
No, I did thank everybody for backing it really and the interest they've shown. I mean, we do, as you say, we've kind of every £500 we have a little special reward tier thing, and I've kind of lined up a few in advance, but we've blown all the way through those. So we're struggling now. We need to get ahead of the curve, don't we? Get some bag. So I've asked a few of my artist friends that work on other comics to do stuff for us. So hopefully we'll be okay, but we might fall a little bit behind, but we'll catch up.
Excellent, thank you. So massive thanks to Stig. So Stig did the video. Actually, it just woke you up then. So so thanks, thanks Stig on that, on doing the video. So any thoughts when you were putting it all together?
It doesn't make any sense. No, it's incredible. I'm just seeing these artists, PJ's work, Ryan's work. It was just amazing, incredible. And I was thinking, how on earth can we intertwine all this? And then when I heard about what the story was about, bloody hell! And the fact that it's got a complete arc, and you lucky gits out there, you've got like volumes and volumes of this to look forward to. It's going to be bloody brilliant. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Cheers.
Oh, well, thank you, Mark, so much for putting the video together and helping out. So Mark does all the V2A videos. So over to Skelly.
Hello.
Hello. So anything you'd like to say to the crowd before we go? Or any tips on drinks or anything like that?
Would it be all right because it's Christmas? Would it be all right if I sang a little Christmas song to cheer everyone up?
Of course.
Of course.
Oh, you better watch out. You better watch out. You better watch out. You better watch out. That was nice, wasn't it?
That was lovely. Thank you.
Oh, I feel all warm now.
Oh dear. People are going to have nightmares over that.
Oh.
You can see why we don't get invited onto many shows. So, mechanized.
Hey, yeah. Well, it's great to be back online. I mean, we had a very different year, like possibly everybody else. But yeah, it has been a very challenging year. And I have to say, we just finished our second lockdown. And to be personally honest, it's starting to get to me because I'm not a person who likes to be locked away. So hopefully, 21 will be a better year for us all. So I'm just glad we're back. I'm looking forward to the comic and really, really grateful for all the fans and friends out there who are backing us on this. And yeah, let's see where this journey takes us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And over to our most favourite celebrity in the whole world, Greg.
You must be scratching the bottom of the barrel. I stand up and I'm wearing jocks. No, absolutely stoked you guys are putting all this stuff together. It's it's a privilege. Anyone I've always been a really big supporter of anybody having a go to do anything. And a lot of people are full of piss and wind. They talk a great game, but don't back it up. And I think you guys are working really hard to do something special. And I think it's going to turn out to be exactly what you wanted it to be. I remember the same when we worked on the post-dawn fight and bringing that through. And remember saying, I think if this gets cut the right way, it's going to be something brilliant because the work we put in. And I think you're all putting the right level of work into this thing to make it what it can be. And I think it's only onward and upward from here. So, more power to you, which is what I want. Yeah, awesome.
Oh. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much. Just a bit of word from me. So thank you guys for everybody's support. Thank you for all the love from the cult of V2A. And thanks for helping us sort of spread the word on the graphic novel. Because we've been locked down for a year, we've wrote about 20 new songs and 5 graphic novels because we're not allowed out the house. So that has been the only positive thing from this year. So we have actually had time to actually go off and do stuff. Can't wait to definitely can't wait to actually meet you, Greg, face to face. I look forward to that party, sir. It's going to be amazing.
I look forward to my lesson of fight and shoot and all that stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And if you're ever up this way, come up to our place. But it's and Dave, is it possible to make Mark a eunuch?
Yeah,
actually, that's probably already in his
anyway.
Let's put that to the chat room.
Say again?
Let's put that to the chat room.
Yeah. Probably get a resounding yes.
Oh my God! So Stig, a quick question: who won the Celebrity Thunderdome? Was it PJ or was it Greg?
Which was which?
Oh my!
He was Groot.
He was Groot.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Yoda.
Oh, did he? Yeah, that
worked. Hey! And as if by magic,
because Mandalorian is awesome. That's why you won as well.
There you go. I'll have to watch it. I will watch it now. I'll take your advice. I'll go have a look at it.
This is really, in my opinion, Mandalorian is how Star Wars should be.
Yeah, I mean, they should. And unfortunately, they got lazy and they found easy cash. And they found a group of fan base which they didn't do the right thing by. I really think that if you've got people that appreciate something, you try and do your best for those people because it's not because of the money. It's because you're trying to do the right thing. And the products will be there. It'll come out and be amazing. I think they let themselves down with a lot of stuff, and they lost people like me all along the way. Which I would have built the audience. I would have, people tell people great stuff. Yeah. So hopefully Mandalorian helps bring it back because I'd love it to be great. I really would.
Please watch it.
Definitely.
The graphic novel is going to be better. V2A graphic novel.
Yeah. So also, Greg, because we're already talking to some rather big Comic-Cons, we would love to have a chat with you and get you over as one of the guests along with the rest of the crew.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, even if you could swing Dana along, she'd be awesome too. Because
she's
awesome.
Mark, and if Mark's allowed out, him too.
Mark's still drawing thought. I did give him a few hints.
I know he's done a really good. What I've seen, we looked through the whole opening that a couple of months ago. What they let him have free reign to do some stuff. He's doing some pretty cool stuff.
Wow, I did.
Mark is a brilliant artist. I've been very fortunate to work with him for 20 years, and it's we're the most unlikely friends. He's the most learned. He's got all this stuff, and I'm the thug guy. But we just get on really well. So
he's mad as a box of frogs. That guy.
But the friendship's always been weirdly hostile and complimentary at the same time. There's never a nice word said, but when we work together, it's always been very. Because I understand what he's drawing, and he understands, and I'll talk about the action sequencing and how that comes together, and how he draws it always works in its favor. So. Yeah, it's really cool. He's a good artist to work with.
I did give him a bit of help.
But he's a good artist.
I did give him a bit of help on the Thor film because he had so much stuff to draw. I said, have a fight scene at night in the fog. So if
That's it, done.
if that's like a half an hour section in the new Thor, that's my idea. Okay.
That's it, done.
You
Done.
heard,
If I
you
see
heard
that
it here.
comment, I'll ring Chris and say that came from the guys at V2A.
Yeah.
That means Thor's going straight to video.
But actually, Chris used to train at our gym when he was skinny Chris Hemsworth before he got on the gear, and we used to give him heaps. We used to call him the long streak of pelican shit.
All right.
But he's a lovely guy. But before he was doing Home and Away and those shows back then, and we used to give him heaps.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's such a nice guy. So glad he's done well because he's a cool dude. And so it's nice to see the nice people get through occasionally. Yeah, but he's a really nice guy.
Definitely.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it was fun. Brought a lot of fun to that character. It was nice.
Yeah. Agreed.
Awesome. So, Stig, if you could just put up Hugh's picture, and I will just share that as the final credits. So, guys, thank you, guys, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for backing us on Kickstarter. It's been an awesome evening. Thank you to PJ, Matt, Dave, Stig, Skelly, Mechanized, and the amazing Greg. Hey, so thank you, guys, and we will see you all next week.
You, yes, the amazing you.
Hold on, let's zoom in on that.
Yuki's that's us on Fury Road together.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
Just amazing character. Yeah, awesome stuff.
So thank
The
you, guys,
eyes.
and we will see you all next week on the Freak Show.
Be good. Be good, Huey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stay
Thank you,
safe.
guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye, all.
Bye.